And good evening, everybody. Welcome into another edition of our Winter Rules Tee to Green podcast. I'm Brian Koziel, happy to be along with our PGA Pro and star, Jeff Meadus, our Winter Rules podcast presented by Golf Dojo. Four great locations now, but three main locations: Transit Road, Niagara Falls Boulevard, the South Towns right off McKinley Parkway, and also they've got a couple of smaller possibilities along the way here too. In Hamburg at a restaurant. Jeff will give you all those details.
1812, yeah.
1812 Tavern. That's right. Yeah.
Am I a bigger star than Haley Steinfeld? I don't think so.
Nah, you know what? She's pregnant.
Yeah,
so she's having a baby. She's going to be a new mom. She was just on the Golden Globes last night. So I think she's got you by a little. Now, after she has the kid, she's probably old news. Jeff, you continue to just steamroll right on. So
good point. Yeah,
that's right. And obviously, her connection to Josh Allen is what all Western New York golfers, Jeff, have been talking about how amazing Josh Allen was in that playoff game against Jacksonville. And then, as we're recording here on a Tuesday, or as we're going live here on a Tuesday night, we find out more bad receiver news today. We knew Gabe Davis was going to be out for the year, and now Darrell Shavers is out for the year. So the Bills are down to, at this moment here on Tuesday night, we're down to 3 healthy receivers left.
Can we I texted my best bud. Can we catch a break? Like just an injury break somewhere through the playoffs here would be great. But I don't know. Josh is Josh. He'll find a way. He'll lead us there.
That's right. Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of leading,
let's
with the PGA Tour, huh?
Let's get into this here. I mean, the news of yesterday, golf-wise, Brooks Koepka coming back to the PGA. Now we knew he was leaving LIV, but boy, we did not know that he was going to get back to play right in February here, Jeff. He's already committed to the Waste Management Open, which we know is in Phoenix, and that great, exciting event. So literally, we're a month away from seeing Koepka back on the golf course in a PGA Tour. We're going to go through the details on some of the things that he's going to have to go through and maybe what some others are to get back in as well. But let's just start with what this means here, that Koepka is back. Jeff, I know you've always been a big fan of watching him play.
Yeah, for years, how many times did I pick him when we picked the majors? We picked somebody. I picked Brooks Koepka for years and years and years. And I feel like this is just a break in the dam or the dike here, because I think a lot of people, he's taking a financial hit or whatever it is to come back to the PGA Tour, but he wants to be where the competition is. He wants to be back, with the best players in the world. I know he says he wants to be with his family, and that's probably a big part of it too. But it's real golf, and he's back to real golf. So it'll be interesting to see if some of the other players defect or start, thinking about it or putting those feelers out there. But the tour is better with Brooks Koepka on it.
Absolutely. And Koepka, of course, we know from everybody in Western New York, we just watched him very recently win a major at Oak Hill at the 2023 PGA Championship. This guy, throughout his time when he was a PGA Tour member, now, of course, even with LIV, Jeff, he's got a lot of just big-time hype in terms of, I want to win the majors. I'm showing up for these big-time events. I know in the past he's even, in some sense, kind of dissed the regular PGA Tour stop. But in general, he loves it when the pressure's the biggest. He's one of those golfers that thrives. We always try to compare people to Tiger, which is unfair to do. Koepka's not Tiger. But if there's a trait that Koepka reminds us of, some of the things that make Tiger great, is that when the pressure was on, a lot of these other golfers couldn't handle it. Koepka loved that moment. He loved those moments.
Yeah, and we talked about Josh. Yeah, Josh and Tiger. And Koepka, I agree with you. He always found a way to get it done during the majors. You could never count him out. It always felt like he was there late in the afternoons. And, as a golf fan, I sound redundant here, but I'm excited to see him back on the PGA Tour. It's going to make me want to watch more. I love watching Brooks Koepka play golf and watch him going up against Scotty Scheffler and whomever. And, that's going to add some excitement. He's going to win some tour events. I think it's going to take him a little bit to get his competitive juices back, to coming from a tour that's highly uncompetitive and 54 holes. But I think, you give him half a season and he might be top 5 on the PGA Tour again.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, I mean, he's obviously up there a little bit more in age. He's been playing these.
How old is he? Is he 35?
He's definitely up there. Hold on, let me give you an exact age here.
There if you ask
no, you're right. That wasn't the right thing to say here. Yes, I mean he is. I'll call him seasoned. 35. You were right on there. He's 35, which I guess for golf that can be still your prime years, right? We would say you're.
It's not. It's not can be. It is your prime years. Yeah. So and his physical fitness has never been an issue. So yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Now, what does it mean? In terms of him coming back? I mean, there's obviously some things that he had to give up in order to do this, to get out of his live. He was done in terms of his live contract himself, but him now being back to the tour itself. Here's the penalties that Koepka has to go through. So, no 2026 FedEx Cup bonus, no player equity payouts from 2026 to 2030. That's the biggest potential loss right there. That could be somewhere between a 50 to 85 a 50 to 85 million dollar potential loss right there. He also does not get into the signature events. He has to qualify to get into those. No exemptions. He's got to make at least a minimum of 15 PGA Tour starts. So that that's exciting. We're going to get to see him play at least 15 times, and they're still working out. There's going to be a charitable donation as well. Now those conditions also apply to three others, and that is Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, and Cameron Smith. These are what is called the one-time returning member offer here. In order to be eligible for this offer, it included Koepka, DeChambeau, Rahm, and Smith. You had to be away from the PGA Tour for 2+ years, which they all four have. You had to have won a major or had won the Players' Championship from 2022 to 2025. So essentially, that's since the start of LIV. You had to have either have won the major or won a Players. So Cameron Smith would fit that because he won a major, as would Bryson, as would Rahm, as would Koepka. So there's three others. Now, they have until February 2nd to make this decision, Jeff. Rahm, DeChambeau, and Smith all have contracts with LIV. So
that was my next question. Yeah. So if they have contracts,
they got a lot of they got a lot of paperwork to take care of if they want to make this happen.
Well, and probably a big payback of some of their bonus, all that money. The first person I think of is Rahm. That would want to, or what I perceive would want to jump back to the PGA Tour, just like Koepka did, and I don't know when those guys' contracts are up, but I look at LIV and I look at it 2-3 years down the road. I don't know where it is. We talked before the show. The TGL, those ratings are down. People like real golf. Real good players playing on the tour, the best players. I never saw the appeal in LIV, so I'd love to see those players come back. But yeah, those contracts hanging over their heads, they probably, there's a lot of money at stake there. So that's a financial decision, I'm sure. And those guys can all still play in the majors because they're all qualified for the majors.
I would think that seeing the progress of LIV over 3 years, whatever you view that progress to be, and I view it to be not much, but whatever you view LIV's imprint to be, I got to think that Rahm, DeChambeau, and Smith, if there's a way to legally make this work, I think that they're gonna figure out a way to make it work, Jeff, because I think they have. There hasn't been enough growth, in my opinion, over the course of 3 years that would, if you are competitive, and they are for sure, they wouldn't have made it this far if they're not. To say like, okay, where's LIV going next year? Like, what's their biggest news? They're signing random players that a lot of people really don't know much about. They're rebranding some of these team names. Like, does anybody care if you're Spaceballs or Fireballs? No. Like, so there's not a lot of like, okay, what's next for LIV? Like, have you made an imprint? Are people tuning in more? Is their viewership up? Is their support up? Like, no, it's been very stagnant. If anything, it's gone down. You're going to lose a star in Koepka. So I got to think for Bryson and for Smith and for Rahm, if there's a way to legally make this work for them, even if it means taking, losing 50 million here, 100 million. I mean, look at Rahm got reports of up to 300 million to go.
They're fine financially. Yeah.
If they can figure out a way to make this happen, I got to think that they're at least looking at all avenues in order to see if they can make this happen.
It reminds me of all those spring leagues that are trying to compete against the NFL, right? But they went big with big money and hired Jim Kelly, and it's, to me, it's reminiscent of that. And I think people still like You're competing against the NFL. You're competing against the PGA Tour. It's still the number one draw in golf, no matter what. The tour is the tour. The tour has had some changes, and not all for the worse. And it'd be tough for me if I had a comfortable living, if I had 200 million in the bank, to not want to be back with my buddies, not want to compete against the best players each week, not going even you play at the Farmers, you play at Pebble, you play a million great facilities, and there's crowds every week, and that's real golf. That's real tournament golf versus music and wearing shorts and the team Range Rovers or all that. I never saw the appeal there, and I don't think anybody else has. As you said, it's stagnated. I feel like at some point, do they want to pull ripcord? Because I know their pockets are super deep, but they're not getting much return or bang for their buck. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything that you mentioned about LIV, I think can work maybe in a unique setting, but for it to just be that's the staple every week. Okay, for instance, I'll say, look, we just mentioned the Waste Management Open. Mm-hmm. That's the 16th hole. There, we know it's a party. It's loud. There's music. All this sort of stuff. And it's once a year at this course, at this event. But if every hole was like that on the PGA Tour, I wouldn't find it to be special in any way. So like for LIV, the music and the teams, it's every single week. It's there. It's all the time. Like it doesn't feel special to me in any way. I guess the team thing to me, I have no investment. I didn't grow up as a Fireballs fan or a Aces fan. Like nobody does. So like, to me, there's no rooting interest in the team to me in any way.
How many players can you name on LIV? You have to think, yeah. But I mean, yeah, and a lot of them you wouldn't. I mean, they're not gonna make it on the PGA Tour. A lot of them, right? So. That's the other problem you have. You don't have the best quality. You don't have the finest players. You don't have the best golf. And there's tradition is such a big part of golf, right? Why do we get jacked up every spring? We're watching NFL football right now, and you see Masters commercials.
Yep.
And guess what I'm thinking? Man, I should go to the Masters this year. I can't wait for the Masters. I want to go to the Masters this year. And there's that tradition that binds people together for golf, and that commonality. Like we're all Bills fans, that commonality. We're all Masters fans too. We're all U.S. Open fans. We're all and we all get together that time of year too. But no one's doing that with LIV. And can you tell I just want it to go away? And I want all those players back on the regular tour and competing each week like it should be.
I agree. If I could give you one of those other three to come back, if they could make it happen, Rahm, DeChambeau, or Smith, who would you pick if I could give you one of them?
I'd pick Rahm in a heartbeat. Yeah, just because I love his attitude and he's fiery and he wants to win and he's all that in a bag of chips. I know people really like DeChambeau and he brings a lot of eyeballs to the tour, so that might be the best thing for the tour. Cam Smith is going to be third in all those categories. As great as he was and as much fun as he's to watch, he hasn't even really been competitive on that tour as far as I can tell. So
I agree. Yeah, I would probably say if the PGA Tour would answer off the record, honestly, they would pick Bryson first over Rahm, even though I think I enjoy watching Rahm play a little bit more. But I mean, those two are top 5 players in the world that I would want to watch regardless of whoever. But yeah. So Koepka leaves. Who knows? Maybe, again, there's up to 3 more monster names here. But what does this mean for LIV? If Jeff put on your LIV hat for a moment, you're in charge. Like, what are you doing next? Are you throwing more money to try to get some other stars to come over? Like what they have just, recently this offseason announced they're going from 54 to 72 holes, which was supposed to be the lure of going to LIV, is that they were going to not have to play 72 holes. That wasn't
hence the name
supposed
LIV.
To be an attractive,
LIV.
Right?
Yes.
LIV 54 in Roman numerals. You're right. So, what would you do next if you're in the LIV camp here, and I'm telling you, and they ask you, and they say, Jeff, what should we do now? Like, what's the answer there?
That's a tough question. I know they got rid of Norman, which that was a while ago, but I do think that was a good thing. It's a little late in the season. I heard Sahith Theegala turned it down. They made him an offer.
And
These are all
Akshay
rumors.
Bhatia also, we heard rumors too about that. Akshay Bhatia, yeah.
But yeah, so you might have to throw some money at some people, but I think at this point, you're committed for your season. You've got contracts too. It's hard to, if you're a player at this point, unless you're really searching for the dollars. I think I would go after the college kids. So I would offer those kids coming out that have the buy or they qualify based on their college career to get in, or the people who win on the Corn Ferry Tour, that get a tour. I would maybe throw a few bucks at those kind of guys and maybe try to nurture the young talent there and give them short-term contracts for 2, 3, 4 years and maybe play that role on that. And, they can still qualify for majors if they want to fly back and give them chances to go to the open qualifier and stuff. But if I were a LIV person, that's probably the direction I would go. They have a lot more money than everybody else. But I at some point, the money's not enough, and it doesn't look like it's enough at this point.
Yeah. Do you ever foresee anytime soon where LIV is under the PGA Tour umbrella?
I could see something like that where it's like
like you have the Corn Ferry, you've got the Asian Tour, you got the South American Tour, and they're all under the PGA Tour umbrella.
Right. I could see it. There'd have to be a change, and I know some of that Saudi money creates a problem, and there's other issues there, and there'd be a lot of technical issues. I know. Weren't they trying to talk for years to come up with some resolution?
Was it up to 2 years ago? We thought maybe they were going to merge in some capacity, and it never did. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can imagine the conflicts of interest and the paperwork and the legalities of it all that just over time would bog it down. I can see it being a sub function and make it more of a fun, do different things. Put women on LIV. You know what I mean? Why don't you try to attract some of the best women? Go get Nelly Korda. You're not gonna. But you know what I mean? Go get someone.
The next Nelly Korda, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Grab the young kids and try to have great play. And they need better branding too. They do a terrible job of branding their product, I think. But that's just my opinion. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they haven't been able to find. Let's face it, you can't travel all over the world to attend these LIV events. So if you want to be a LIV fan, you've got to be able to watch it, and it's hard to find. It's not always on a network channel. Sometimes it's a stream. I know they have a smaller deal with Fox. Sometimes they end up on FS1 or FS2 or something along those lines, but it's mostly streaming. And to build an audience in the United States, which is where we know where they want it, because that's where the money is, it's tough when you're playing in Singapore and in Australia, and these events are happening at 3 a.m. or at 10 p.m. at night. And that's not to say
that's your best point. I think that's because Sunday at 4 o'clock when there's no football, guess what? Everybody in the world's watching golf. Yeah, especially this time of year.
Yeah. So there's a no, that's okay. The brand of it being global, I think, is a good angle for them. But you also have to understand, with you being global, it's also hard to dominate a certain area, because if your event is being held in Japan, it could be 3 a.m. in the United States. You just have to understand that's a challenge. If you want to be a part of the whole global sports landscape, again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it can only go so far in certain countries because of just time logistics, and travel and all that sort of thing. I mean, a huge reason Koepka said he wanted to come back. Now, this is what he publicly said, was that he didn't want to travel as much. He wanted to be in the U.S. He wanted to be with his family, and he didn't want to have to travel all over the world. So that's something that obviously will be interesting. The fact that he's committed to 15 events, which is what LIV essentially was committed to, is interesting. But LIV is trying to get world ranking points, Jeff, and that's what a big reason they went from 54 to 72. It didn't bring it yet. They're hoping maybe it's a step closer for him. Yeah,
that's another needle to thread for them. And a lot of it seems like desperation to me. You're there. I think they're sputtering. They're losing one of their core cornerstone pieces, who basically is quitting. You know what I mean? Not re-upping. So if you're them, and you ask me if I was the chairman, they're in a tough spot. And 72 holes, great. Still, the competition level is subpar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would put Koepka. I mean, Mickelson is, at the time that Liv started, Mickelson maybe meant more that he was leaving, but in terms of golf wise now, I think the golf world's kind of maybe moved on from that, at least for the most part. Koepka can still play. Rahm can still play. DeChambeau can still play. Cam Smith can still play. So there are good players that are there for sure. And there are probably another half dozen or so as well that the PGA Tour, I'm sure, would love to bring back, whether it's guys like Harold Varner, a player like
Joaquin.
that. Yeah, exactly. Joaquin Niemann. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's probably maybe next after that list that we mentioned that are eligible that they would love to have come back. So it's not that Liv doesn't have good players. It's just there's nothing within the format or their regular rotation of events that really just wants me to draw in. There's nothing that says I need to know who wins Liv Singapore or that needs to win Liv Chicago. I don't have any value to that event. So I guess in my grand scheme of things of me tuning in or not, do I care if Harold Varner wins that event? Does that have any value to me? So, that's what I guess is tough for me. And I like to watch golf, and you do too. You like to watch everybody swing. So, you're a swing coach. You like to watch guys swing.
I love it. And I loved watching Niemann. But yeah. You also, I think the PGA Tour is, they're a legacy function. They're a legacy brand. You're going to Riviera, you're going to Pebble, you're going to Hawaii, you're going to Augusta, you're going to the Farmers, you're going to all those things we watch because we know the courses and it's comfortable, and we like to see different players play the same courses. And watching Brooks Koepka compete with Scotty Scheffler, watch those two go down the 18th hole at Riviera, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's adding a lot more to the PGA Tour, and I think it puts Liv in even a weaker position.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, let's talk about, as we said, Koepka will be playing soon. He's committed to the Waste Management Open and the Waste Management Open itself. Excited they officially welcomed him. This week, the 2026 portion of the PGA Tour season officially kicks off. We know we talked about on our last podcast, the Century last week, the great annual event of the, essentially they call it the Tournament of Champions. Anybody that had won a PGA Tour event the previous year got to play in that event. That was at Kapalua, the amazing vista views and everything from Hawaii. That unfortunately did not happen. The course was deemed to be not ready. I know there were some mixed reports of whether or not maybe it was going to be ready, or maybe it was and they overreacted. So the future of that event kind of up in the air, and even just the whole Hawaii swing, what's going to happen. But this week, the Sony Open in Hawaii is back in Honolulu. And, I would call it a modest field. You're not going to have a lot of monster names playing in this event. Russell Henley is playing in this event. I'll read off a couple of names here already, but golf in Hawaii to start here, Jeff, and then we head back to the California swing, the American Express that's at PGA West Stadium, the Pete Dye Stadium course. Then you got the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, and then it really feels like we're back going again. Then you got the Phoenix Open, the AT&T Pebble Beach, the Genesis at Riviera before we shift to Florida. It's all these tournaments are going to be here before we know it.
And it's fun and it's exciting. This is what you get fired up for. This is when you start to feel golf season in the air a little bit, right? Yeah, I know we're going through winter, but yeah, we still love watching them play in Hawaii. We love watching them play out in California. That's a nice Sunday afternoon when the weather's cruddy. Put on some golf and get ready and start working on your swing. Yeah, start preparing for the spring. It's gonna be your best year ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the Sony Open in Hawaii, as I mentioned, Thursday through Sunday. It'll be on late at night because, of course, it's in Hawaii. So if you're looking for something to maybe fall asleep to late at night, good stuff there. Henley, a big name that's playing. In terms of the odds, he's the favorite. Ben Griffin is playing. We know he was a part, of course, of some dramatic moments last year. JJ Spawn, who really vaulted onto the scene, he's playing. Colin Morikawa. And then, of course, the Ryder Cup captain, Keegan Bradley, is playing. Matsuyama, Robert McIntyre, Siwoo Kim. So, you've got some other decent names in the field.
I guess that was a mediocre field. That
I said modest. I guess modest. Yes, you know what? I'll change that. now that I read off more names, I'll call it a 7 out of 10 field. How about that?
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
It's a pretty strong field. Yeah.
It's a pretty good field. Matsuyama loves playing in this event too. He's done well here too. But you've got some nice names in that. And then we get to the California swing, the 3 weeks in a row where they go from Phoenix to Pebble Beach to Riviera. That stretch, Jeff. I'm watching that. Yes, and I'm like, okay. Can the weather start turning here in Western New York? Like I'm getting, that's when I really, really get the bug here. We know, April, the Masters, it's kind of like officially when golf courses are really open here. But man, those late January, early February, we know football season's going to come to an end. Yeah, we can get some March golf.
Yeah, weather, you never know. Yeah, if you're not afraid. But it is exciting, and it's nice to have the PGA Tour circling back around and the cyclicalness of it, and you just listed all the events. We all know all those events, and that circles back to the point about LIV. We don't even know where they're playing. Yeah, so we don't care.
Yeah, that's right. Jeff, I'm going to throw it just a couple of storylines here. Rory McIlroy, of course, we know last year highlighting the majors, winning the Masters, completing the career Grand Slam. Do you think Rory will win a major in 2026?
I think so. Yeah, because that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. I think he's got 4 good chances. He's still one of the best players in the world. I think so.
Okay. All right. So that's one. Scotty Scheffler, we know, continues to just dominate. I'll give you 2 questions for him. Will he, at the end of the season, at the end of 2026, have the most wins on tour, and will he win a major?
Well, I think that's the biggest problem Rory has is Scotty Scheffler. Yeah. And Brooks Koepka now, by the way. Yeah. So I do think he'll lead the tour in wins and everything. He'll be the same player, if not better. He's still growing into his game, maturing, understanding his game better. Yeah, there's no pressure on him. I see nothing but upward trajectory for Scotty also.
You giving Scotty a major too?
I am. Yeah. And
all right. Well, I already got you down, and you're going to give Koepka one. So now we got 3 of the 4 covered already.
And then I don't know who wins the other one. I think Scotty might win 2.
Oh boy! 2. Yeah. All right. Well, the rest of the field, I hope they're not listening to the podcast here, Jeff. They're going to be disappointed. You've already entered all the majors are already done. Rory, Scotty, and Koepka. There you go. There's your 4.
I just don't know what order. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Hey, Koepka does not have a Masters. Maybe he sneaks in there too. I mean, Scotty's got 2. Rory's now got 1. He'll be the defending champion. And that'll be good.
Brooks has a game for Augusta. So, yeah.
Yes.
And that's why he's coming back to go play. Yeah, I mean, he could play it anyway, but now he can prepare for it properly the weeks in advance with the tour events. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to wrap up here. Let's get some final thoughts. Jeff, let's just talk a little bit about locally here. I mentioned Golf Dojo, of course, presenting our Winter Rules podcast here. How is the Southtowns location going? I know I was there the first week it was open. It was awesome. Tell everybody where it is. And, for all the Southtowners in Western New York listening here, just maybe what do they have to offer down there? Because there's not as many indoor golf options in the Southtowns as there are in the Northtowns. I mean, it's a logistic facts. There's more options in the Northtowns than there is in the Southtowns.
Yeah, we opened a brand new, really, really nice. We learn we get a little better each time. That's our 3rd location. It's on Burke Parkway, just off McKinley Southwestern, near the McKinley Mall. 5 bays there. We're going to get to 7 shortly. 24-hour access. The same thing you expect, but bigger, brighter, newer bays because we had a little bit more room there. Really cool location. We're running teaching programs out of there all winter too. Got PGA professionals working for us, PGA Junior League, women's programs, all junior programs, any kind of instruction you need. We're going to be able to have that for you. And we're super proud of the new facility out there.
Yeah. Tom and Max and you and everybody that worked on it, it looks like $1 million. So congrats. I'm glad you guys are off to a great start with it.
Yeah, it's doing well, and we're very, very happy with how it came out.
Hey, if you want to get a lesson with Jeff or book some time, you can email Jeff directly for lessons, right? Jeff@mygolfdojo.com.
That's correct. Yep. Love
All right.
teaching. Yep.
So you can do that to get a lesson with Jeff. He's got a whole bunch of different offers, especially if you have a son or a daughter and you want to get them going, or if you think they've got an interest in golf and you want to get them a lesson with Jeff, like just kudos. He's worked with my son his whole life. I would highly 100% recommend Jeff. He's amazing with juniors. Go ahead and do it. Even if you're not a junior, if you're a senior listening, go ahead and do it. Jeff is awesome with that. You can do that. Jeff at mygolfdojo.com. That's right.
Yeah. Golf's supposed to be fun. Yeah. Just make it fun.
Absolutely. And if you want to be a member at Dojo, or Jeff, tell everybody maybe about what you get by being a member at Golf Dojo.
So our members get a discount on the hours they book, and they get
24-hour
access, and they get extended booking. So instead of a week out, you get a longer booking time. If you want to get a Saturday morning when we get busy, it's easier to get those times. We have plenty of time now because we do have 3 locations. So, and it gives you a discount in 24 hours, multiple membership packages online.
All right. Very cool. Again, mygolfdojo.com to get that information, or again, the email Jeff at mygolfdojo.com. All right. Final thought here, Jeff, as we watch the Sony Open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, people are going to be watching PGA Tour golf now for the first time in months. You always say, emulate what you see that the pros do. So how about one thought here for all of our Western New York TV viewers that are going to be watching the Sony Open this week here? What should they be paying attention to with the pros and trying to emulate here that maybe they could pick up fairly quickly to get their spring season going?
I would look at backswings. Okay. What I see with a lot of my lessons is the club gets behind the player, behind the seam of their pants with a lot of my lessons. And if you watch the best players, as they swing the club back, the club's much more vertical. I always like to say there's a laser off the butt end, points between your toes and the golf ball halfway back. Check that you do that. And when you watch all the tour players, not John Rahm, by the way, but everybody else, watch for that. You'll see that the club gets a lot more vertical with the good players on the backswing than most average players do.
All right. Good stuff there. And everybody's golf swing is a little different and unique. So go to see Jeff in person, and he'll check out your swing, and he'll say, hey, this looks great. Let's work on this, that sort of thing. And Jeff, I don't want to speak for you, but not necessarily the video in your Instagram feed is going to be the spot to fix your swing, right?
No, they can't see you or what you're doing or what your body type is, or if you have a bad shoulder, or if you've never played golf, or if you've been playing forever and you're hitting a hook or you're hitting a fade, or they're not watching that. Yeah. And we have TrackMan and video. We have all the data to help you help yourself get better real easy.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Good advice. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Enjoy the first PGA Tour event this week.
Yeah, and you enjoy doing the Sabres games for a change. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
It's been fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've been playing really, really well. So hopefully they'll keep it going here and be in the race all the way to the end and then in. I would love to there's a whole generation of kids and teenagers that don't even know what it's like to have the Sabres in the playoffs. So
so much fun. All right. And go Bills. And go Bills.
That's right. And no more injuries. I don't want to hear any more injuries along the way. Let's get good news the rest of the week on that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, for Jeff Metis, I'm Brian Koziel. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of our Winter Rules podcast presented by Golf Dojo. Again, mygolfdojo.com if you want information on bookings, membership, or if you want to get a lesson with Jeff or just a question for Jeff, anything about golf, it's Jeff at mygolfdojo.com. For Jeff Metis, Brian Koziel, I know Jeff Blank, thank you for producing as always. And Kevin Sylvester, by the way, working for PGA Tour Radio this week. He is at the Sony Open in Hawaii. So if you want to listen to him, he'll be on the broadcast this week. For everybody here at Tee to Green, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time on our Winter Rules podcast.